Hey everyone, it's Jackie, and this is my second video about my experience with metabolic damage. If you didn't get a chance to see the first video, you can click the link below and check that out. After I recorded that first video, I had a lot of gals contact me basically saying thank you and just expressing that their pain and their emotions of going through this process of recovering from metabolic damage, and they were just grateful for the information. I think a lot of those gals felt like they were the only ones going through this, and I think it was comforting for them to know that someone else had been through it and had recovered fully from it, and that there is hope in this instance with this phenomenon, which is becoming all too common, unfortunately, in the physique and figure bikini competition world. So in that first video, I talked about the events that led up to my metabolic adaptation, my rebound weight gain, and what that looks like for me. And today I want to talk a little bit about how I was able to get out of that cycle and break that cycle, and what you can do to prevent this from happening in the first place. And I would definitely ask you if you know of anyone that is going through something similar, or if you think this video would be beneficial for anyone you know, please share it. And you or anyone else can certainly email me, contact me. I'll put my contact information below this video. I'm definitely very willing to help point people in the right direction, and hopefully offer some advice on how to get out of this and to start healing and getting better. So how did I overcome my metabolic damage? Let me back up and say that I first started witnessing this phenomenon in me in maybe the end of 2007, beginning of 2008. So, it's been several years. This has been a process for me. I'm not saying that it's going to take you 5-6 years to return to your normal body weight and a healthy metabolism, but it's definitely been ongoing for me. In order to begin the process of getting better, first thing I did was hire a new coach. I had to do things differently. I'd been reading some articles. I actually hired Kevin Miles of bodysport.com, and he wrote an article about metabolic damage, and it really spoke to me, so I contacted him, and he put together a very reasonable weight training and nutrition program for me, which was really, really hard. And I had a lot of questions, and I'm very grateful to Coach Kevin for his patience with me through that process, and understanding what was happening and why it was important for me to change what I was doing and back off all the cardio and actually eat normal amounts of food. So that was the first thing I did, was just go an entirely different direction. And then I definitely saw my doctor, had some blood work done. My estrogen levels had tanked, and my thyroid was completely jacked up. I already was dealing with hypothyroidism and was on medication. We had to adjust those levels, and fortunately, as soon as I started eating and normally and backing off the cardio, my estrogen levels returned to normal. So that was definitely a blessing. I didn't struggle nearly as much with that as I know some other girls do. So I'm grateful for that. I also had to take 3-4 weeks off of training completely, which wasn't that huge of a deal because I was completely burned out. I know for some people it's a very scary thing to think about not training at all for the fear of gaining more weight. And I did initially. With the decrease in training volume and the increase in food, I did gain 2 or 3 pounds, which again freaked out. Called my coach. He talked me back down from the ledge, and said it was a normal part of the process, that my body was just adapting adjusting, and eventually the weight did return to the normal levels. And it took me about a year to lose the first 11 pounds. It's when you've basically screwed your body up so badly, it doesn't know what you're going to throw at it next. So it does take time. And unfortunately, it's a process that you have to commit to for some time. But that's what I did. I backed off the cardio. I did almost zero cardio and weight trained 3 or 4 times a week, focused on just getting that metabolism to respond again, and ate a very normal amount of calories, what might have been considered maintenance calories. It certainly was not a caloric deficit. If you're experiencing metabolic damage or you've hit a massive plateau, the last thing you need to do at this point is diet or diet harder or reduce calories. You've got to get your body to learn, I guess, how to use those levels of calories again. And eventually, it took a couple of years, but through adjusting my program and slowly reintroducing exercise volume, I was able to lose all the weight and then some. And now I'm happy to say that my body is very responsive. I can adjust my calorie levels, I can adjust my training, and I can see the results I want. But that's only because I took the time to allow my body to heal. And I cannot stress to you enough how crucial that is. I know that it's very easy to think when you're in it that you've got to get ready for the next show, you've got to get to nationals, you've got to get that pro card. And I'm here to tell you today that it's not worth the permanent damage you could be doing to your metabolism. So please take the time, do things the right way. There's nothing that says if you go through this, you can't compete again, but you're probably going to have to go about it a different way and a healthier way, which will allow you to maintain your results for your results for the long term, which is what we want. We don't want to look like competitors just on the day of the show. We want to look like we actually work out even when we're, off season, quote unquote. So that's a little bit about my experience, and I'm really, really fortunate that I had great people that I could work with that taught me the right way to do things. Another thing that I had to do, which was good for me, it may not be what is best for you, but I pretty much had to stop following the industry for a while. I canceled my subscriptions to the fitness magazines. I didn't follow the bodybuilding forums or websites for a while. I needed that time to focus on myself and focus on healing myself and think about other things and other activities other than competition. That just mentally for me was huge. I needed to step away from that and see it from the outside, because sometimes when you're in something, it's really hard for you to be objective and see what's really going on. When you're following the websites and the competitors and the coaches, it's easy to feel bad and depressed about, so-and-so, was in my class and they went to nationals and they turned pro and that should be me. And I know that's really, really hard. And I just didn't need to be a part of that for a while. I needed to get my life back, basically, and have a healthy mindset about it. So that was good. And eventually now I do read the fitness magazines, but I see it through a different set of eyes now. So I think that was very helpful. You also really need to surround yourself with very supportive people, which also it might be hard, but you may need to remove yourself from a certain circle of friends for a while and build your support network so that you can get better. There's a lot of chatter about this phenomenon in the industry, and there's a lot of people who they claim it doesn't exist, that it's the competitor's fault, which I think is absolute baloney. So you actually may need to remove yourself from that if you're experiencing that. So that's just my 2 cents. Obviously, the best way to deal with this metabolic damage thing is not to go through it in the first place. So if you're a brand new competitor or you're someone that's thinking about competing, I definitely don't discourage you from doing so. I absolutely love it and I miss it terribly. I definitely encourage you to do your research before you decide to compete. That's thing number one. Interview coaches, and more importantly, maybe interview competitors that they've worked with currently or in the past, and learn as much as you can about their training philosophy and the types of workouts and diets that they prescribe. And what their philosophy is for peak week, and dehydration and water, and there's so many things. So just make sure you do your research, and I really want people to have a positive experience because it is a great sport, and I definitely don't want to discourage anybody. That's thing number one, interview your coaches. Thing number two is give yourself plenty of time. Can you get ready for a show in 12 weeks? Absolutely. You might need 20 or 24 weeks. Forcing yourself to get ready for a particular competition can be a recipe for disaster. Okay, so make sure you give yourself plenty of time to prepare so that you can start at a reasonable level of calories on your diet and you can start at reasonable levels of cardio. You've got to have somewhere to go. You cannot begin a contest prep doing an hour of cardio a day on 1,300 calories, okay? And if your coach wants you to do that, you should run, not walk in the other direction because you're setting yourself up for a huge fall. Okay, so make sure you give yourself plenty of time. And remember why you're doing this. It's very easy to get caught up in wanting to win. But at the end of the day, this is an objective sport. We can do our best and diet our hardest, but it's up to a panel of judges who wins on the day of the show. And that is totally out of our hands. Just remind yourself, compete for the right reasons, I guess is what I want to say. Compete because you want to challenge yourself, because you want to be your best, you want to inspire other people. Don't do it for a plastic trophy because that's totally not up to you. Compete with yourself and not with anyone else. And I think that's my best advice for having a positive experience with competing in the first place. So hopefully that's helpful. I definitely encourage you, please comment below. If you have questions, feel free to email me. And if you're going through this, I can certainly point you in the right direction. If you need help, if you need support, there are definitely places where you can get it. And in the meantime, keep training hard and have a healthy day. Thanks a lot.